You Better Watch Out is a 1980s psychological black comedy from director Lewis Jackson. The movie was completely produced from independent investors. Nowadays, indie films are common, but back then it was very rare. Jackson wanted to make sure he was able to complete his vision of the film without any studio executive meddling. This turned out to be both a good and a bad thing. The good was that Jackson was able to make exactly the movie he wanted to. The bad was that at numerous times during the production, money ran out. At one point, he even had to sell his points in the film in order to pay his very expensive cinematographer. Unfortunately, because he sold his points, he lost the rights to the film, and the film was handed off to a few different distribution studios. One of those renamed the film Christmas Evil in order to try and trick people into thinking it was a horror film. While on the surface, it appears to be just that. It's actually a very sad film about one man's descent into madness. The movie starts off back in 1947 on Christmas Eve. Philip and Harry are sitting with their mother watching Santa Claus deliver their Christmas toys. After Santa leaves, the kids go upstairs to go to sleep. Philip tells Harry that Santa was really their dad, and Harry doesn't believe him. He goes downstairs and he sees Santa making sweet, sweet lovin' to his mother. Harry's so heartbroken by this, he goes to the attic and cuts himself. Years later, Harry's an adult and is obsessed with Christmas. His entire house is littered with Christmas trinkets, and he even works at the toy factory Jolly Dream. He spies on the local children in the neighborhood and catalogs who's naughty and nice. Most of the kids in the neighborhood are good, except for his arch nemesis, Moss Garcia.
Moss Garcia.
Harry isn't an evil man. He just loves the spirit of Christmas and is constantly berated and walked all over by everyone. His co-workers completely take advantage of him, and this helps to drive Harry over the edge. Philip's now living in the house that he and Harry grew up in. Philip's wife tries to get him to be nicer to Harry, but Philip thinks of his brother as nothing but an emotional cripple. It's Thanksgiving and Harry calls Philip to tell him he won't be over for the holiday because he has something else to do. In reality, Harry's obsessed with watching the Thanksgiving Day parade. This is Philip's first indication that something's wrong. Harry then starts to construct a Santa suit, and paints his van to look like a sleigh. He even begins making lead soldiers in his garage. While walking through the neighborhood, Harry stops by Moss Garcia's house. Since Moss is bad, Harry marks the house with dirt. At the company Christmas party, Harry finds out Jolly Dream is donating toys to the Willowy Springs State Hospital for Retarded Children.
Are words which do not do justice to the suffering going on at the Willowy Springs State Hospital for Retarded Children.
However, after a discussion with the president of the company and a new executive, he learns they're barely donating anything. This finally sends Harry over the edge. He can't believe how people could be so awful at Christmas time. That night he breaks into Jolly Dream and steals all the toys he can fit in his van. The next day he fills up some bags with dirt for the bad kids in the neighborhood.
Moss Garcia.
It's Christmas Eve and Harry's donning his Santa suit. It's here where we see he's really lost it. Harry starts off innocently enough, delivering toys to all the good girls and boys on his list. And he leaves that bag of dirt for you-know-who. He heads to the Willowy Springs Hospital to deliver all the toys to the kids. The scene is genuinely heartwarming, and really confused the hell out of people who thought this was a horror film. They could almost show this on ABC Family if it weren't for what happens next.
I have something for you.
I have superlative taste.
Harry rushes off to deliver more toys when he overhears some Christmas music. A party's going on and they bring Harry inside. He dances with the kids and has a great time. Then, when he finally has to go, he delivers a speech and scares the shit out of the kids, and this girl in particular. Harry heads out to the home of Frank, his asshole coworker. He tries to get in through the chimney, but he gets stuck. He manages to get into the house through a window in the basement, and he kills him with a star from the Christmas tree. Harry then heads back to his house to hide. Christmas Day, and Philip hasn't heard from Harry. He hears about the murders on the news, and he suspects it might be Harry. Harry wakes up to head out and deliver more toys. Only this time, word has gotten around about the killer Santa. Harry goes to a very cheery neighborhood and meets up with some children. One of the parents recognizes that he has to be the killer Santa and tries to stop him. Harry manages to escape, but word gets around quickly and the neighborhood forms a lynch mob. Harry gets away and heads to see Philip. Philip freaks out on Harry and nearly kills him. Thinking he's killed him, Philip puts him back in his van. Harry wakes up and drives off. While speeding off, Harry swerves to avoid the mob, and his van skids out on an ice patch, sending him off the bridge. However, the film changes, so we see what's really going on in Harry's head. Harry thinks he really has turned into Santa Claus, and he's flying off into safety, when in reality, the van crashed off the bridge and killed him. I love this movie. Even though it's essentially about a man driven by madness, it still has more heart and compassion than a piece of shit like the Santa Claus. Brendan Maggart delivers an incredible performance as Harry. You really sense the emotion he's going through, and genuinely feel bad for him as he loses his mind. An interesting thing about Maggart I didn't know until a few years ago is he's Fiona Apple's father. I now see where she gets all that intensity from. Making her screen debut as Moss's mom is Patricia Richardson, who went off to be in the massively successful Home Improvement.
There's something horrible in there! Ow! Now you get in the car!
She should have smacked Jonathan Taylor Thomas like that. There were a lot of scenes in the movie that confused audiences. As Harry's losing his mind throughout the film, certain things are all in his head. The director left it up to the audiences as to what they thought was real and what was not. After 20 plus years of saving up, the director Lewis Jackson was finally able to buy the film back from the distributors he sold it to. He used his own print of the movie for the DVD release. He also included numerous commentaries talking about the struggles he went through with the movie, and how happy he is that it finally is in his possession again. The first time I saw the film was on a shitty full-frame VHS. It was muddy and not the best quality. I did like the movie, so when the special edition came out in 2006, I snagged it immediately. Right off the bat, I was blown away by how much richer the colors were, and it added a whole new layer of depth to the movie. The film's littered with reds and greens that were unnoticeable in the VHS print. Brendan Maggart actually slipped here, and the director liked it so much he kept it in the movie. When Philip falls down the hill, you get to see it's really just sheets of fake snow. Speaking of fake snow, since this was a pretty low-budget movie, they couldn't afford a snowmaker, so most of the snow in the film is cut-up plastic bags, being blown around by a fan. Frank and Philip's childhood house was actually an abandoned house the crew painted and decorated to make it look like it was being lived in. Jackson dreamed of one day being able to make this movie, so for 10 years he collected all this Christmas merchandise, which he used to fill up Harry's house. Jackson didn't like Geraldo Rivera, so he made the newscaster Ricardo Balma as a goof on him. Even though the subject matter is a bit coarse, this is one of the best Christmas movies out there.
I wish I had a lifetime subscription to Penthouse magazine!
Most Garcia.